Crunchy.
Hello, Crunch community. Welcome to our review of Smile 2, and what a fantastic
Mhm.
horror movie. I think I don't know by the end of this year, but this might be the best horror movie of 2024. I love Smile, the predecessor before this one, and what amazing sequel this was. I loved everything about this. I actually got the chance to watch this with John,
Mhm.
and oh my god, I
Yeah.
had I had this.
I had to show Levi this movie. We had some downtime to kill, and we were kind of like, what do we do? And I was like, well, what if we went to the movies, man? And so I had already seen the movie, and I was like, I highly recommended it to Levi. And I was like, well, let's see if we can go see catch a movie. Let's see if we can see any showings for Smile. And luckily, we were able to catch it just in time. We missed a couple previews. We got in there, and I'm so glad that I took Levi to see it, man, because there were plenty of jump scares in this movie that got Levi pretty damn good. I mean, genuinely, like there was like two jump scares in here that genuinely got me. Like it's earned. It doesn't feel cheap, and I felt like that for about 95% of the jump scares that are in here. I felt like they're all deserved. None of them feel cheap. None of them just feel like sensory overload. There's a build up to it. There's payoff for it, and I felt like, man, like there was two that really like that got me. And seeing Levi react to all of these jump scares was amazing. You just see him like just shaking in his chair, man. It was fun.
Checking in my no, let's not let's not over exaggerate.
Yeah, he was jolting, man. He was jumping out of his chair. It was fun. It was fun to watch this with Levi.
I
Uh,
was my body shook a couple times on these jump scares. Good, like
yeah, it was
they
really
definitely
good.
got me.
They did a really good job at building the environment to each of these jump scares, leading up into it. The
Yeah,
suspense, it was so good, so good.
it was very clever. It was very interesting.
Hmm.
I was surprised that because I talked about it with Oni and Leonard. I was like, oh yeah, I got to see Smile 2 with John, and I was glazing. I was glazing this movie because like I watched this what like 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm
Hmm.
still thinking about it in my head, just about like so much. It's so cleverly written, and the just how they're able to scare you and creep you out is just so it's man, I can't think of the words for it. Like I'm that shocked for just how great of a film this was, and I was really shocked that Oni and Leonard haven't watched the first film because they thought it looks goofy, and I can understand that. I can understand that because like you're just seeing people smile,
Yeah,
but it's just that
it definitely
unnerving. Like
fits into that. It definitely fits into that January release date ridiculous idea of a movie, but this one is so well written that it works. Like it's like,
mhm.
Night Swim, the haunted swimming pool. Like it's a dumb idea, but you can make it into a horror movie. This one is just people smiling at you, and it's kind of like this entity that makes you smile, and then eventually you know, delete yourself. And like it's a weird concept, but the build up to that, the journey to that is what really gets you into the pacing of this movie. And I think where this movie lacks, I think, is that it lacks to do anything new to for the movie. But I think it's a little bit of a good thing because we're still not entirely sure what this thing is. And I think it does a good job of continuing that suspense of what it is and all that. But I think the things that they do better, what they elevate in this one, is exactly how it takes hold of you, and I think that's where it really starts to shine, because we're seeing more on how it really takes control of you, really bends your reality, and I think that's where the movie is elevating a little bit more. And the scares are just as much there as they were in the first one. I think they even elevate them a little more. What I think they also did too is that they upped the gore quite a bit in this one. and I was, like cringing at some of the things that they were
Yeah,
showing me,
yeah,
the
yeah.
imagery and stuff. I was like, oh man, the sights, the sounds, like, oh, it fits so well. Catch yourself kind of
I
doing the
was,
ooh, like when you see something happen, you kind of like grab your body part that something's happening. Like, they do that very well in this one.
yeah, it was. Yeah, they definitely put a lot of blood, fake blood
Yeah.
into this film. But so when you said they didn't do anything new, I gotta disagree because the so what I was so excited for this film was just the entire premise that it was a celebrity idol pop star that was affected, and I don't think we've seen much of that lately. Coincidentally, this came out during the same time as Trap, which is also during like a during like a
that
whole
that
pop
movie that
star
movie
stadium.
that movie is a trap, by the way. Another note.
um, yeah, apparently that movie is terrible. I haven't seen it yet, but John can give you his word that Trap is not a good film.
Trap is a trap. I'll tell you that right now. It is a trap.
So, but and I was so excited to see this because you know, given that she's a singer, pop star, she has so many opportunities to experience smiling. That
Hmm.
she unable to trust anyone because she has to meet with fans all the time, so
Hmm.
she's not in that headspace, and so it was very interesting. I'm not sure if she's a good character, and I mean not good as in written well. I mean as in morals.
Yeah,
Like
I completely agree with you on that. Like, I don't like when I at the end of it all, I was like, you know what? She wasn't that great of a person. You know, she really wasn't that great of a person. But the way it's written and the way that her story is conveyed, you still feel so much sympathy for her. You're
Mhm.
still able to relate with her in so many different levels, and to really latch onto her character, wanting the best for her. But like at the end of it, you're like, holy shit, she wasn't really even a great person. It's like, wow. But she does such a good job. Naomi Scott does such a good job at
Yes,
conveying this
Naomi Scott.
character.
I was like, what the, like, and I was like, what has she been in? Like, who is it? Like uh this is a scream queen right here. Like, holy shit! And I was like, she played Jasmine in Aladdin. Like, what?
Hmm.
This is Jasmine?
Yeah, and I was like,
And
that's why she can sing. She can sing, by the way. She can really, really sing. Um,
okay,
but when
okay,
yeah, and
that
I
makes
was
sense.
like,
That makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense now, right? Like that she played Jasmine, and also that she can sing in the actual movie. So yeah,
I thought that was fake. I thought like maybe they're playing and she was like lip syncing to the music. I
no,
didn't
she
know that
can
was
she can
actually her.
actually sing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is
Um,
crazy.
but yeah, I think the point that you were making that well, oh man, I lost my train of
That
thought.
she's not a morally good character. She's a terrible
Hmm.
person.
Yeah, but like to build on top of that, it's it goes through her the it latches onto the things that she's done the worst in her life, and I think that it does a very good job at also, picking apart your worst moments in your life, and I think it does things a little differently because obviously she's a pop star and then the other one's just like some nobody. But I mean, the what I mean was that it doesn't do anything new, is that like it doesn't exactly explore um anything different. Like, there's still the hallucinations, there's still the bending of reality, like there's still, not really knowing what's real, what's fake, and kind of having moments that you're not really present. Like, that's what I mean, like, and it doesn't do anything new, like, but the things that it does do new is like elevating that. So like the fan base, yeah, you see the fan base, you're able to be there and see her kind of downward spiral into that. And also the other thing about this character is that also she's a recovering addict. So a
Mhm.
lot of the things that she is seeing, people just aren't, taking seriously because one, she could be, flying off the deep end once again. So she could be falling back into that. So it's another layer, I think, that also helps with story plot wise because no one's really trying to help her. And I think that's one of the vocal points of this character as well. Like, so she keeps screaming that no one is listening to her. Um, and I think it's because, it's one of the things that we see from an addict. Like if they need, they need help, but not the way that they want this help, and people think that she's an addict still.
Um, yeah, well, I was looking at IMDb. Coincidentally, she was also in the Power Rangers film, which we talked about that in a previous kind of review. So she starred in that, which is really funny. Um, but yeah, such a great like I enjoyed her character despite her
Hmm.
like shortcomings and her
Yeah,
everything about her.
you really root for her. You really root for her to do what she's at. And I think the twist that they have towards the end, it's like, oh man, I
Yeah,
felt like we were going here, but the journey to get here, I was like, man, they did a really good job at really creating this story and creating a good twist, and just really feeling for the character.
yeah. I think there's a lot more like mind fucks in this one. Like I don't think there was that many in the first one. Was
There
there?
there were there were a couple. There was like the birthday gift, and
Yeah,
then
the
literally
birthday
the
gift.
entire final act essentially. I don't know if you remember that, but the entire final act of part 1 is essentially what happened in this one as well. I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember
Okay.
that.
I I,
Like
I remember there
pretending
was
to
a
get
whole
away, like the whole "you got away" type thing. Defeating the
yeah.
monster, getting away and things. I mean, it kind of does that all over again. So that's what I mean. Like it didn't really do anything new, but I guess I like the way we got there.
What else? Do you want to go more into like special scenes? You know, the spoilers.
If you want to go into spoiler territory, totally up to you. I mean, I think we have pretty much covered our synopsis and our, character likes and dislikes and stuff of the movie. So if you want to get into spoiler territory, man, it's completely up to you.
Okay. All right. So we're about 10 spoilers. We'll drop our rankings right now. You should definitely watch Smile 2. Watch it. It is so good. It is probably gonna be um best horror movie of 2024. There's still plenty of that I haven't seen yet. So we'll
Mhm.
see. We'll see. Because I
Yeah, man.
there's
You see,
one.
you've
There's
seen like two. You've seen like 2 or 3 horror
no
movies this year,
no
man.
no no no
You mean
no.
you've seen like two
I've
or
seen
three, man? I've
plenty.
seen almost all of them. I've seen almost all of them so far.
I've seen
Almost.
plenty, but there's one that I haven't seen, that that everyone raves about, which is Alien Romulus. I just haven't had time,
Dude, the fact
because
that you don't have the substance on that list to see is a direct reason why I'm saying this is gonna be probably your horror movie of the year, man. I still got some thinking to do.
you still got
I
something to
still
do.
got some thinking to do, man.
I don't know, man. This set a very high bar,
It does.
but
It does though. It does. Not to give it any less credit than it needs, but yeah, I get it. I get why you think this may be best horror movie of the year.
yeah, I truly recommend this, and that's why I gotta give the most crunchy award. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I had fun
Woo!
watching it throughout. Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm glazing the hell out of this because
I
I
think
still,
whew, man, Levi.
I,
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, Levi.
I'm still thinking about this film, and it's been 3 days. Like, just the entire, just the way they do it. I remember watching it. I remember feeling just uncomfortable during certain scenes. There's just
Hmm.
one whole sequence where I was just like, "Ooh, this is, ooh, I don't feel good. I'm getting like little shiver me timbers vibe going on right here." And Naomi Scott just does such a perfect well of conveying that emotion of disgust,
Hmm.
fear, and like, and it is really really good. And even it has like a whole music video, like it has a whole motherfucking music video in the
Yeah.
fucking movie. And I was like, holy shit. Just like
I don't know if
whole
you know
dance
this, man, but we
choreography.
actually we actually watched it in IMAX. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh no, I did not know
Yeah, we actually watched it in IMAX. That was the earliest showing they had.
that. Well, even better, man. I generally think you're gonna have a ride. I think it is worth watching a second time.
Hmm.
It is
I think
so
so too.
great. Bring your friends just to watch to see their reaction, because all the jump scares are very, very great. You don't see them coming, and even if you do see them coming, they manage to sweep it right under you. There was a lot of times where I thought a jump scare was going to happen, and it just
And it's
totally
nothing.
changed the perspective.
It's just
It totally
nothing.
changed
Like
it.
it completely plays off of your own fear and just like your uneasiness. So it lets you sit in that. It lets you digest that moment and experience what the character is experiencing without a sensory overload.
But go ahead, John. What's your score?
Man, do you gave it a 10 out of 10? Man, you give out a lot of 10 out of 10s.
What?
I can't give out a 10 out because I feel like that has to be like the perfect movie. It has to be perfect. And by no means do I think the movie is perfect, but I'm not saying it's not very good. Um, I think, and this is actually a very rare thing I think I can say, but like if you're gonna watch this movie, I would definitely pay a little extra to see it in IMAX because I saw it the first time like in regular screening, but like I didn't really realize like the budget and the cinematography and the sounds that they had for it. And so when we saw it in IMAX, I kind of enjoyed the movie a little more because like you said, there's like an entire music video in it. So like when we're in it, we get to see I was like experiencing it like for like the first time again because I really didn't get to enjoy it in this kind of digital slash sound wave way that it was giving it to us. So definitely I don't really say this very often, but check this one out in IMAX. Like I think it's definitely worth the extra money. I think it's also pretty good to see something, like that well give you a jump scare. So I think you're going to enjoy this movie a little better if you see it in IMAX, which I don't really say very often for a horror movie, or at least a thing that doesn't really come up. Um I've already gushed so much about this movie. I'm one of the biggest not hypocrite critics when it comes to jump scares. I hate jump scares that are just there for whatever. Like it's just the someone putting their hand on their shoulder when they're behind them, the door closing, whatever the case may be. Like it's just unearned. There's no environment that they build to it. There's like nothing. I hate those kinds of jump scares. They're just there to give you a sensory overload. But these here, they really, really go up the ante with these jump scares. They're so excellent. They're crafted so well. It's almost a masterclass in a way for some ways to do um modern jump scares, and how I think that they should continue to move going forward in Hollywood. And I think most movies can benefit from learning on how to create environment, create ambiance, to create dread and suspense before you give a good earned jump scare. It's very well acted. Um, Naomi Scott carries the movie, and I think she does a tremendous job at it. Uh, it's definitely in the running to be in the top horror movies of the year. But like I said, I've seen a lot of them this year, and all of them have just been so so good. Like this is a really good year for horror movies.
I'm
Like
a, I'm a big
it's hard for me to even think of the top 5 like right now in my mind. But I feel like Smile 2 could definitely be in my top 5 this year. And I'm a horror movie buff, dude. I love horror movies. I've been watching horror movies all year this year, and I have to really strongly recommend this movie. And I think I'm giving it an 8.5. 8.5 for me. It's
I,
very good movie.
damn, not even a 9 didn't hit that threshold yet.
It didn't hit 9, man. It has some of its shortcomings, and it doesn't elevate the story anymore, but it does everything just a little bit better than the first one. Just a little bit better. It could be like people could possibly even see this one as better than the first movie, and I wouldn't even argue with that because it does everything the first movie does, but elevates it, takes it up another shot, notch, and it really wows you in a lot of the ways the first one did. I just hate that it didn't do anything a little bit differently. Um, and I probably would have enjoyed if they really tried something new and fresh. But I kind of like that they didn't do if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mindset, because it literally just did everything better. Everything. It just didn't take a chance. It didn't do anything a little differently. But that's not a bad thing. Like I said, I gave it an 8.5. I think that's just the only that's the only thing stopping it from getting a 9 or 10 for me.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into spoiler territory. Is there a scene you want to start off with, John? Um, talking about.
I think we can't go any further than, talking about like the very opening of the movie. I loved how
Oh, yeah,
they get straight into it. It
yeah,
goes straight from where we left off with the same person. So I
yeah.
think that scene was very well crafted. I think it gives us a baseline for how the movie's going to be, and it really shows how, I think, how the entity has affected him. But I think it gives just enough question to see how is he still aware, I guess, because now that we know how the entity has treated people in the past regarding like their reality, and how are they able to really know what's real, like how does he have so much control of himself at this point. So I think it does answer a little bit of that. um but I thought it was a pretty good sequence. It was really setting the tone, and I thought that it kind of just took a left turn from what I thought it was gonna be. I really wanted it to be what it was originally planned out to be, but you know how he kind of got killed by accident in a way. So it just leaves a lot of questions, and I think the opening of the movie just, it's really good. I really liked it.
Was he trying to pass the curse onto
Yeah,
like what was?
he was
Okay,
trying to pass it to an asshole, essentially, to
yeah,
someone who deserves it, I guess, because he wasn't gonna be able to get rid of it. So he was like, if I'm gonna pass it on to anyone, it might as well be this asshole. You know what I mean? Because he
okay,
he he
yeah.
flat out repeated the crimes that he did. So he obviously researched them to make sure he doesn't give it to anybody innocent.
I was like, why did he shoot at him and do that? I was like,
Yeah, I think
that
yeah.
was the only. I was like, but I
I
guess
guess it was just reaction, man. He shot at
because
him because he got shot.
because I mean, like if he shoots you, he dies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you let yourself get shot, I think that would end the curse, possibly, maybe.
Yeah, but it wasn't about ending it. It was about giving it to someone who deserves it.
Yeah,
That's really what it was about.
but yeah, that whole sequence was pretty good. I didn't see much of like the first part, so I think there was like his like girlfriend or the love interest from the first movie was like burning in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I that like the first 1 minute and a half, I was getting in my seats because that's when I had to like walk up like 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
So I
But yeah,
was
so yeah, it was like kind of like that. And I think it kind of goes into that thing where you kind of keep seeing the person that killed themselves appear to you, because we kind of see that as well with Naomi Scott's character. The person that killed himself is usually the person they keep seeing for quite some time.
yeah,
So we do see that he does see the woman on fire there as well, just to kind of remind us, like, that's what happened prior to this.
yeah. The one that Naomi Scott had to witness. Holy shit, man!
Yeah, that
Like
was
so,
pretty grotesque.
I've seen a little bit of Terrifier, and that looked like a Terrifier killed me. Like when like in the first movie of Terrifier where he's like stabbing a dude in the face like over and over.
Hmm.
That's what it ended up looking like with that with the weight just boom boom.
Yeah, just
I was like,
straight blunt force. Yeah, the
I,
bloodiness, the teeth, the skin falling
yeah,
off. Yeah, oh man, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, from this movie.
I was like, okay, okay, oh, are we done here? Oh, oh, another one? Okay, like
Yeah.
Jesus. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and I loved like the little pauses you got in between, so you can really like see what's going on from the impacts and stuff. So I thought that was amazing. I thought it was pretty cool.
And like I was like wondering like why the fuck is she not like responding or anything? And it was just like from straight up fear and awe. Like it was until that like 10 seconds, like she just snapped out of it, ran to the
Hmm.
wall, and just threw up. And it was really
Yeah.
it was really great. It was
It
really
really goes into theory, like maybe like what if like the entity kind of like puts you like in a hypnosis when you're watching. You
You
know,
know
like
what?
it's
I
one
was
of
thinking
those
about
things.
too,
Like
like
you
where
can't look away.
that's interesting.
Because if you think
That is
about
an
it, so
interesting
far
thing.
we've witnessed like what three different main characters watch a death at this point. Because there's like the psychiatrist from the first movie, and then there's the guy that watched her burn, and now this one that she watched. You know, the friend hit himself with the weight. So it kind of like puts into the little theory. Like, do you think he kind of puts them like in a mini trance? You know, just to watch it, like you
Maybe,
can't turn away, kind of thing. Because
maybe.
my initial reaction if I see something like that, like I'm out, bro. I'm bolting, or I'm not gonna look. Like it's one of those two, man. So it makes you kind of think. You know, do you have to watch? Does he make you watch? You know, one of those things.
I don't know, man. I feel like you. I feel like it's curiosity. You know, you gotta look. Like you just seem
Not
like
for
this
me.
really
I'm
fucked
out,
up
my brother.
thing.
Hell
You
no,
think
I'm
you're out?
out.
You
I'm
think
out,
you're
bro.
out, bro?
I know. I know.
I don't
I'm a horror movie dude, man. But when it comes to real life horror, man, I'm out, dude. I ain't watching that. There's no way.
um, no, I thought. No, remember what I pointed out? One thing that just was odd to me was that dude had like a framed picture, or not like a frame of water guns.
Yeah.
I didn't want to point that out. I was like,
That was definitely a young person's room. I'll tell you that for sure. Young person's bachelor pad.
like super soakers. Um, Going into it, yeah, it was really good. I think I want to get the soundtrack because I think this song during the practice rehearsal was really good.
Yeah.
Even during the official dance was really great. Um, what initially you walked out, but when she was doing the fan autographs.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
no, that creepy guy came in. He's like, I want to feel your skin," and like, but at first you're all nervous, like, I'm your like biggest fan. Could you write like love Skylar? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, is this how I act with the celebrities when I get a picture, man? I was
They're
like,
like breathing heavy. You're like,
I was like, I hope that's not me, man. I hope that's not me. But yeah, then you get the little girl smiling at her, and she just like calmly.
yeah, from the trailer. Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of felt like maybe she was an actual person. Like she could just be an excited child. You know what I mean? Like that would probably could have been for real. Who knows?
that's how that's how it messes you up, man. You don't know who's smiling at
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. But at this point in time, she's already infected with the curse.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love the later on sequence, dude. When we kind of start building that ambiance that she's not alone in the apartment, and you start seeing the trail
So
of clothes,
I
that I
I
was wearing.
initially thought he was gonna be real. I thought like it was have nothing to do with the smile curse, and that like okay, yeah, there's a for real a stalker here. You know,
Yeah. And I thought it was gonna
that's
be
a
one of those things where like it tricks you, like it makes you think, oh, this is on her head, whatever the case is, but then like it turns out to be real. You know what I mean? So I thought it was gonna be one of those, but yeah, it turns out that yeah, it just was an illusion in her head. But that was actually a for real terrifying sequence. Like that is a for real sequence that could happen to someone like her.
That was so creepy, man. You just see the the clothes scattered out, and then like the poopy underwear.
Yeah, the little stain on it, dude. Oh man, that was a good icing on top of the cake, dude. Cause I was like, man, of course this dude would have a fucking skid mark on his fucking underwear, dude. But man, when the lights turn off, that was a good touch. When the
Uh-huh.
lights just turn off when she just looks up the hallway, you know, like right as she's
Ah,
about to look up the hallway, the
fuck.
lights turn off, dude, and she can just see the shadow of the guy there, and you kind of see his dong a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. No, like, no, I don't like this. I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
And
even then I'm still thinking about because so one thing about me that always gets me is fucking long hallways and something just running at that hallway at you, and that happened in Blair Witch Project, the newest one movie, and I was like, oh fuck, this guy's gonna come running straight. Of course, that happened. That happened, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh fuck.
when he started running, dude, Levi freaked, man. That was fun. That was a fun jump scare for me because I already knew it was gonna happen. But man, it was a good jump scare for Levi.
um, and then that's when we get introduced to her best friend, who also
Hmm.
like grabs like something, which was a
Yeah,
fine
she
moment.
she, ma- she matched the energy, man. She was Naomi Scott was kind of walk. She picked up something. She was like ready to like hit whoever was in the house. She felt like he was still in the house. And I like how when her friend comes through the door, she like kind of doesn't understand what's going on. Hasn't talked to her in months by you. Like they left off on a bad note. So they haven't been talking for about a year or more at this
Yeah,
point. It's the first time they've
yeah.
interacted with each other. And then she also like kind of picks up an object as well, kind of like matching her energy. Like, man, that's a friend right there, man. Like, I don't care. Match my energy, bro. Like something's definitely off here. And I like how she just kind of slowly but surely realizes that, this is all just an illusion. The bottle never broke. It's still on the counter. There's no clothes on the floor. There's no indication that there was someone ever in this house. And kind of see that slow realization was awesome because it's one thing to just kind of be like, huh, oh, nothing, never mind. But like you kind of see the slow transition into like putting the pieces together and just like doubting yourself. You know that's just a mastercraft of that. Like you know they take notes for whoever wants to do something like that because that's an amazing way to do it.
I don't think we ever got like clarification on why they stopped talking, right? Or like I guess
There was
a
there
little bit
was
later
there
on.
was yeah, definitely just kind of messages that were left. There was no definitive reason. But essentially she was probably just, being an addict and talking shit to her
Mm.
and just being, whatever the case may have been, it was more than likely due to her addiction. We only see like the last four messages between them in which, she's just more insulting her than anything else. The friend wanted an apology for something and that was about it, man. We really didn't get much else other than the fact that they hadn't spoken in about a year.
We so there was the dream sequence or something that was like that was really also ominous, just like where she's like venting, like like she breaks everything she touches, essentially, like a bit like very "woe was me" type of rant, and then just the whole like it's because you're a terrible person.
Hmm.
And then like oh man, the smile is so damn creepy, man. Like
Yeah, it's unsettling.
really, yeah, it's
I
very
feel like I
unsettling.
feel like every person that had to audition to do that smile had to like that was the first thing they had to audition with was the smile. Is your smile creepy? If it's creepy, okay, then you can audition. If you don't have the creepy smile, then you're out of here. You know what I mean? I feel like that was a prerequisite for every person who had like a smiling scene.
um and then she had like what was it, like coffee.
Yeah, she made
uh
matcha in the morning.
yeah, she made matcha in the morning, which we'll get into that later.
Which I
um
think was a pretty oh wait, before that, but like when we get to that transition, it's like the jump scare that you see in the trailer, which is the one in the bed and the lights and stuff. So you get that jump scare from the entity and her smiling in the bed. Soon as she gets up from the bed from being scared, daytime. Like it was nighttime and then daytime. As
oh
soon as
yeah,
she got up,
yeah.
transitioned it very well. Goes into the losing bits of time and not really knowing what's reality and stuff. So you're not really sure if she's
Oh,
conscious or not.
that is
So it
right.
just turns into straight daytime. She looks back at the bed. Friend's not there. Friend walks in from the bedroom door, and it's like, she's like, "Hey, I made matcha. How you doing, man?" like nothing happened. Like she was not aware of her surroundings or where she was and things like that.
I actually forgot that wasn't the first like time difference that she felt. Because she's like, oh, you texted me like an hour ago, like here I am now.
Oh yeah,
uh,
during that sequence, during the
yeah,
whole guy in the hallway sequence,
yeah,
it had been about an hour since she had asked her to come over, and I think it felt to her like maybe 10-15 minutes.
yeah. And we get like a really good like subtle foreshadowing of her like drinking water, as like she, because after that, she realized that she's late for work, and she's
Hmm.
like just chugging this down this, which I thought was vodka at first. So I was like, damn, she's an alcoholic, like fuck. And then I realized that she takes another one and she starts downing another one. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is water.
Yeah, and it's apparently part of her therapy. Like
Yeah,
whenever she wants to use to drink a whole glass of water, and she's drinking water throughout this entire thing. You kind of don't see the significance of it, other than it's supposed to be kind of her therapeutic type thing. And I kind of couldn't put it together up until like the end, which we'll probably get to when she's at the hospital. But like she just drinks a lot of water, she drinks it very
yeah,
fast too. So I mean, I
yeah.
kind of don't know like where it ties in,
It's
except for the doctor scene, the hospital scene.
so what I think it fits in is that we'll dive. I'll dive more into it, but the therapy said that this is so you have one controlling element in your
Ah,
life.
yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff that you can control. So
Mhm.
you yourself drinking this water is something you control. You're in control of drinking this water, and so I think
Mm.
that very ties in with that at the very end she's not in control of anything. She thought she had at least control of this like little bit of aspect,
Mhm.
in the final scene, the very final scene. Turns out, nope, it was just the entity.
Yeah, which makes
uh,
sense into the when we get to the hospital scene. Like we're gonna jump ahead a lot by talking about it, but like we get to the hospital scene, where she gets knocked unconscious. When she's at that hospital, the private hospital, they tell her she's dehydrated, and that's simply impossible for how much water she's been consuming up to that point.
you know what, you are right, you are correct, I totally, because I was
And see
like,
that's where I remember the water because they said she's dehydrated. She was found unconscious in her apartment, and I will get to how she became unconscious. But when she wakes up in that hospital, she's dehydrated and she needs fluids.
that makes a lot of sense. I thought that was just like maybe, what was it, like a trick or something like that. Like I was like,
Hmm.
how could she be dehydrated if she's been drinking water nonstop? And again, this is something that she thought she could control. The one thing that the therapy doctor said, hey, if you ever feel like you want to take drugs or something's not going your way, drink water. That's your one thing that you have control of, just drinking water. And turns out she was never even in control of that. The one simple
Hmm.
thing that she latched onto, and I was just Smile taking advantage of that, which is just clever story, just clever story writing,
Hmm.
so clever. Um, Going into that, I think this is the scene where is she rehearsing? She gets the broken leg.
Yeah, she's rehearsing, but right before this point, she had a nightmare about her accident, and where she just wakes up from the accident or post crash, and she's just kind of hanging there because they're kind of suspended in trees, and so we kind of get to see the damage that was done to her and
That
why
is fucking
she,
scary.
yeah,
Yeah,
it gets
yeah.
grotesque. Like it shows a lot, but it shows the reason why she's all cut up and why she has like she had a big gash in her stomach and her back's all messed up, which is why she wanted Vicodin to begin with, because she has back issues. And we also see like her leg, her bone had snapped, so it was protruding out of her leg. So right when we get to this scene where she's practicing on stage, which is the part where we're talking about that it kind of looks like a music video, it does get pretty far into that scene, like maybe like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes of her kind of just performing, and so then there's like kind of like this mini jump scare, and she feels like her leg was broken again, the same exact way, as in the car crash where we see her fall in the middle of the performance, and she's also her bones protruding out of her leg again the exact same way, and she's just laying on the floor in pain. All the dancers around her are like, what the hell's going on? Nothing happened. And we kind of just see her leg go back to normal. She no longer feels the pain, and her first instinct was to like start blaming everybody else that's there.
Yeah. One of you guys stepped out of line. I saw it.
Yeah.
And then that's when she also goes back to her dressing room, which she thought one of the assistants trashed.
Yeah, it was like
And
all trash, dude. Like it was like like it was bad. Like everything was on the floor, mirror was smashed. Every little thing in that room was messed up. There was nothing like that was untouched in that room. And
yeah,
she must have been in there for what seemed like 20 seconds before her mom came back into the room and she's like, "What did you do to your rooms?" Like, "I didn't do this. It was somebody else." She thought it was the assistant, but apparently the assistant had been with mom the entire time at that point. So there's like, well, who did it then? Then that's when mom just kind of starts having her doubts and is like,
yeah.
okay, well, are you using again? I don't care if you are, you have to tell me, you know?
So so now that I'm thinking about it, because like I sometimes I find it hard to follow that the entity can't do anything except make your mind do all this shit, you know? And I
Hmm.
like, because I thought, okay, so yeah, he controlled that the assistant and made him smash everything, but I realized, okay, wait, no, he can't do that. So yeah, she did smash her own room. Holy shit.
Yeah, she either smashed it herself or maybe the entity has some type of power like that, but I highly doubt it. But I feel like
Yeah,
she must have done it.
yeah. That okay, so yeah, wow, okay. I did not think about that at all. Like I thought, yeah, the entity had somebody trash all over. Because what I'm what I keep confusing this is with that one movie that was like kind of very boring. The one where like you have to have sex in order to pass it to somebody.
It follows.
Yeah, it follows. So I think
Hmm.
like the smile demon, it can control somebody and it's able to like break through walls and stuff like that and touch physicals and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
now I'm realizing that it's all in the person's head. So nothing's really happening except the person is doing this to themselves.
Hmm.
So going into that, what is the next scene? Is that when she's getting text messages and that's when she goes meet the person?
Yes, then that's when she goes to meet um the ER nurse, and he kind of gives her a rundown that he's been following this entity and it killed his brother, and the brother had it like 8 people before her. So he's been
Yeah.
following it for some time, trying to track it down. And he kind of gives like a brief little history lesson on who it's been passed down to. And he kind of has a little bit of a grasp on it and kind of explains to her what she's been seeing and what it's been real and stuff. So eventually he gets to his idea, which his idea is to kill the person that currently has the curse and then resuscitate them. So that's the idea, and I think that's one of the things that they did do well in exploring, because that is like some fine print. You die and then you can get brought back, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of explores that very briefly. We don't get much to talk about in depth, but that was the idea. And then eventually she has to leave because she's recognized. Because prior to that, she was at a charity event where
We skipped the
she
charity
kind
event.
of had, yeah, she had a charity event. And then at this event, she had knocked down an older woman because she kind of had this freak out scene. I think this is probably one of her better parts of the scene, Naomi Scott, because she kind of has like this thing where she has to read out of the teleprompter, but we kind of see her descent and talk a little more than she should because the teleprompter isn't working, quote unquote. So she kind of goes off the rails and talks about her past and talks about how music has really changed her life for the worse, and talks about the death of her partner that died also in the car accident and stuff. So there's a lot in this scene, and I think that's probably one of her
Yeah.
better scenes that's well acted.
I was like,
um
what the like at that one point I was like, is this the entity doing it? Like, well, why is she saying all this shit? Like, of all of like you cannot improv on command. Like like
yeah,
this
but
is
it's
the
also
worst.
the entity had taken a lot out of her at this point, so she's at her worst at this point right now. But yeah, so she had been recognized at the bar, so she had to leave. So
Yeah.
um
I do want to go say that made me feel cringe. That was super
mhm,
awkward. I just felt like, oh my god, I want to get out of this situation so bad for her.
mhm.
Like, please just move on to the next scene. And then of course, like it just keeps getting worse. That I do love that whole scene. I saw in this trailer, like, stop fucking smiling at me.
Yeah,
It
like that's
was
such a
delivered
good, like the
perfectly.
delivery of that is so good, and everything up like just before that is so good.
And then, of course, it was like, just please get. It's like she's yelling. People are looking at her. Just please leave it. And the old lady off the table. I think I laughed my ass off on that
Yeah.
one, just because like it was just like, oh my god, this is not going well. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
and there's a little jump scare in that too, so that was one of the ones I felt was a little cheap, because it's kinda
Uh,
like in the middle of this chaos, like, there wasn't necessarily any build to it. There was a little bit of a build to it, but, like, it was just very sudden, a sensory overload, but I get it, that's what they were trying to convey, so that's how she ends up knocking over the old lady, um
we forgot about the best jump scare, probably in my opinion, because before she met with the nurse, he sends a picture, sends a video,
Oh,
like, look,
yeah.
this is what he was filming, and
Yeah, the guy
I
who had it
could,
prior to her.
yeah, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the shadow figure in the phone. So like
I could
I
see a
think
little bit. It's very, 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 very hazy, but it's just like a it's basically whatever your mind turns it into kind of things. It's just like a little bit of a shadow in a corner. That's basically all it is.
I think it's
Nothing
meant
definitive.
I think it's meant to, so you can like
Yeah.
sort of like lean in,
Yeah,
try to
exactly.
squint with your eyes, trying to like wait for that, for it to like come into the camera, and then
Mhm.
oh my god, then it just pops into like in like right
Like in
next
her
to her.
room. Like it's right
Yeah,
next to her in her room.
I was like, oh shit, and that got me so good,
Yeah,
man.
that one
I was
got me really good. The first time I watched it, that one got me really, really good. I was like, "Oh, fuck, I wasn't expecting it to be right next to her, dude. I should've."
um I think after her talk with the ER nurse, is that when we see the scene with the whole troop of smiles?
Yes, it's, like, right before sh that scene happens right before she gets admitted into that hospital, because that's how she goes
Yeah,
unconscious.
yeah. Oh, that's so unnerving, man. That is so unnerving. They did that perfectly.
Yeah,
Just
and
like
it's a scene you see in the trailer where it's, a bunch of people that are smiling her at her coming at her in a hallway, like, that scene
yeah,
was done so good. Like, I thought it was just
yeah,
gonna be a very generic scene where, just a bunch of people smiling at her and stuff, but it's done so well. The leading into that scene with everybody coming down the hallway was so good. It starts very quickly. It comes, like, right when she's, like, kinda having this mental breakdown. We kinda have the anxiety of, like, people just calling her. People are just calling her and calling her and calling her because this is after that event that happened, so her mom's just nonstop calling. Her agents are nonstop calling, the investors are just nonstop calling her, and we kinda get that anxiety as well, and then, like, you just get into her closet and just a bunch of people just smiling at her. Just you flip the light, everyone's there. Like, holy shit, like, there's no, like, big sound thing or whatever, it's just very subtle, just people were there. And it's like, "Holy shit, what's gonna happen next?" And then it turns into one of those, like, Boo from Mario. When you look at them, they're not moving, but
yeah,
when you look away, they're moving towards you. It turns into one of those, and I loved it, dude. Like, she kinda, like, looks at the door, and they're just they're getting closer to her. Oh, man, dude, that was so good. I thought they did that
yeah.
so good.
It's so unnerving how they move too. Like they move like almost like a spider, like just
Mhm.
like going through the
Almost like a
hallway.
dance
And
scene. Almost like a
yeah,
dance
yeah,
scene in a way.
yeah. Exactly. And like, I gotta rewatch it to see like if they actually did any of the choreography that was in the rehearsal into
Yeah.
that scene, because I feel like it might have been mimicked. But that was a scene which I feel like they took that from somewhere, where like, one of them like crushes the light bulb.
Yeah, it's gotta be have been done somewhere, but I think one of my favorite parts was um, when they're all on top of each other. in the hallway, because her hallway is
Yeah, yeah,
very tall.
yeah,
She has a
yeah.
very tall hallway. So when she gets into the living room and they're all on top of each other, like a pyramid in a way, that I was like, holy shit, they could have done, like, they didn't have to go that hard, but they did. Like, that's a good idea to have everybody just like sticking out of the wall like that. That was really cool.
That was one of them that I think had a bad smile, had a bad scary smile.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they all did pretty good with their
yeah.
unsettling smile for the most part. I didn't really see anybody that like didn't belong, if that
It
makes
was
sense.
like to like the like the left of the screen where I was like, ah, that's not a scary smile. But
But
it
there's a
was
lot
just
of
so
people there. So if you're able to find
yeah,
one person, I just wasn't able to find them. There's a lot of people there though.
yeah. But it was so good and just the whole like I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I was so confused. Like how's the smile person able to control all these people? And I realized it's all in her head. She smacked herself against the piano, which hurt. Like I was like, what?
Yeah,
Like, damn, is this it? Is this game over? And
yeah.
then it was a piano, and then what else? They started choking her, I think.
They like hit her with the piano, and then oh yeah, they carried her and dropped her on the table, I think.
Okay.
And that's when she just went unconscious, which is when we wake up in the hospital.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
what.
when we find out that she's been dehydrated this whole time, and we're like, well, what the hell?
Yeah,
She's been drinking water this entire time, you know?
yeah, and just clever writing. We figured that out, which is just one of the biggest mind twists now. That like, and see that's something where like I really like about this film was like you have to. It doesn't spell it out for you. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
think about it. It
Yeah,
keeps
it
you
doesn't
on your
spoon feed
toes.
you. Yeah, it definitely doesn't spoon feed you what might be happening.
Um, and then so she's obviously having a talk with her mom. Um, her mom starts stabbing herself
Mm-hmm.
with the glass shard, and she takes out the IV out of her arm, which is I know that
Oh
was getting
yeah,
you, man. I know that was getting you.
they really harp on that too, like the way it looks like coming out of
Yeah,
her. Oh man, yeah, it was definitely one of those things where you like kind of start feeling it, you know, one of those things where you're just like, oh, like because you know everyone knows what an IV feels like, man. So like the way it gets pulled out, it's so like slow and drawn out. Oh god. But I also
I,
this is like what this is one of those parts of the movie where I'm like, okay, pretty much everything from here, is it even credible? Because like
yeah,
nothing really may have taken place from what we see here.
yeah,
And it turns into one of
yeah,
those things where I'm like, okay, we have to discredit a lot of what happens here because this is essentially not real. And
yeah.
so we go from the hospital scene to her escaping. And I feel like in my mind, everything, her waking up in the hospital is all real. I think all of that is real. What I think
Oh,
happens after that is everything in her head. Because
okay.
there's no way that she, as we know, like where she gets regains consciousness, like she just got there. I feel like she really was knocked out. They really did find her in an apartment unconscious. And I feel like everything from that hospital point was just a ruse. So, from what we see, she wakes up from the hospital. She finds out that when she saw her mom killing herself, or yeah, so we see that it was actually her that has the glass in her hand. And I really like the music that they're using because it's very unsettling. It's very like very unnerving. It's like playing in backwards. It's something that it's
Yeah,
not normal that you hear. So I really like that song that they're playing. They've been playing it throughout the entire thing, but like here in particular really works. She finds out that she was the one who killed her mom and is just trying to, she now knows that she has to get out of here and she has to try to beat this thing. So that's when she starts to contact Morris, I think is the doctor or the ER nurse, and she's like, okay, I need to meet now, I need to kill this thing. Has to get out of the hospital somehow with this bloody robe, finds a sweatshirt that the guy brought for her, but she's still showing blood everywhere on the gown. And like that scene trying to get out of there, we just walk like you belong,
hmm,
like you belong. She's just walking and she's bloody everywhere. People are everywhere, and he's just trying to like go unnoticed. And but of course, someone notices her and she takes the gun from the security guard, causing a big scene, dude. So, she eventually makes it out. And I love that we see Gemma again, which is her best
Yeah.
friend. So I love that we see her again. She's in the car with her driver. That's how she gets there. And I like I don't know why they threw it in there. She stepped like on a glass bottle. So it's like she's picking
Oh,
glass out
yeah.
of her foot. And I'm like, oh God, that's gotta hurt so much. So she's picking glass out of her foot as she's talking to her friend Gemma. Her friend Gemma decides to come with her. And I just love Gemma's energy, dude, as a friend, like she's just that good of a friend, matches the energy, is ride or die. Like I
Right or
I
die?
really I
Yeah.
really I really liked her as a character, dude. She was really good. And then we come to the realization after all this madness, she thinks she's gonna meet Morris to get this thing done. And we see that she gets a phone call from Gemma.
Yeah.
From Gemma while Gemma is driving. And then we then find out that Gemma never even responded to her initial voicemail. She never spent the night with her. She never forgave her. They never had a talk. They never interacted with each other. And so it makes you think like, okay, well, how much of this was real then?
Did you
And
think I figured that out? Because I remember whispering to you, I was like, I really hope this is real.
no, I didn't think you had figured it out yet. So,
Because like what I initially thought was that when she came over to spend just like when they're talking, because that's when
mhm,
she like told him like, oh, I saw like this person like kill himself, the person from high school, like shut the fuck up, like oh my god, well okay, well, I'm here for you, like we're
mhm.
best friends. And I was like, I don't think this is real, like I think this is another fantasy. And then, when they were in the bed, they woke up. She had mocha, whatever,
Mhm,
matcha. And I thought, I was like, okay, so she's real. Okay, we're done with that. Because I thought I was just really too happy. And then when it came down to it, when she got a call, I honestly thought that call was going to be like, okay, the person driving is not her. Like, hey,
mhm.
um, like your mom, like what happened to your mom, she, like what did you do or something like that. I thought that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen, so it just totally took me for a loop. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that
so none of
none of
this
it
was fake.
happened. None of it happened, dude. And so that leads me to believe that the monster made matcha, bro. The monster makes the matcha. So now we know that the smile monster loves matcha, bro.
And you know what?
Because she was never there. And I think I pointed out to you that when I was watching it the second time, the mom didn't acknowledge
Yeah, yeah,
Gemma when she was there at the
yeah,
apartment. And I was like, that kind
yeah.
of makes sense that she didn't
And
acknowledge her. But it would make sense that Gemma acknowledges mom, but not the other way
you know what?
around.
Going into it, I thought it was weird that the mom didn't say anything, like, "Oh, you finally took my advice and
Yeah.
met
Yeah, and
with
the
your
mom
best
seems like a
friend."
character that would say that, you know?
Like, oh hi, like you guys finally met together. You guys are finally
Mhm.
friends together. You know,
Yeah.
and
And nor did she acknowledge Gemma either. Like Naomi Scott's character. She didn't say, "Oh, she's here by the way. We made up." Like,
yeah.
she didn't say that.
There's also, so remember Naomi Scott, when she said about the whole water thing, she told Gemma, aka the monster, like, hey,
Mhm.
this is the only thing I have in control. You know?
True, true, true.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
yeah.
right. You're right. You're right.
So
She
it's just
did say
another
that.
thing. So I mean, I don't know how like the monster works. Like if it's inside your head, does it have
Mhm.
knowledge of everything that's in your head, or do you have to like explain it and
I don't
say it?
know. Maybe it's explaining it in or maybe that was part of it, getting it out of her. Maybe it's not able to fully explore the brain, but maybe it's able to communicate with you to get it out of you in a way. That's possible. Yeah, that's a very interesting take on that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Um
don't think it knows everything inside you. I think it has to learn about you.
yeah, possible. Very possible.
because I don't think it used Gemma until she called Gemma on the voicemail. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, once she called Gemma, that was it's picking up information, so it starts to grab information that you feed it itself. Possible, yeah. And I noticed that her dreams got deeper with the accident that had happened
I
when it ended up revealing that she was the one who crashed the car by grabbing the steering wheel.
yeah, I think I had to rewatch it because like did I wonder if she said anything about her accident beforehand, and that's how the monster learned, or maybe he just
I
saw
don't
it in the
believe
dreams.
so. I don't believe so. But we'll have to see. But I think it was mainly dreams when she's like not really conscious.
Hmm.
Because I think that's when we
She
really got
she
more
she
into
did
that
see
story.
news reports. She did
She
see
did
news
see a news
reports.
report, but that was before she was infected, I think.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
um, but yeah. So that whole sequence, I was like, yeah, the whole final scene just feels like such a waste now because you like you're thinking that she's about to go battle with this like demon, and
Yeah,
turns
like
out
she
she,
meets with Morris, and but when she finds out she's in control, like the fake control thing, where she finds out Gemma's is the entity driving her, and she's like, "I'm in control, I'm in control, I'm in control," and
yeah.
so she kind of comes back into consciousness when she's driving. So she's driving, and she's the one heading towards Staten Island, which is where Morris is at. So she kind of has like this moment, like, "Okay, I'm driving, I'm in control right now." So then she meets with Morris at this Pizza Hut. I like the little jokes they made, like I'm about to die in this Pizza Hut. So I like some of the jokes that they made there. Um, but yeah, so then he explains the plan, stop her heart in a freezer, so that he has more time to resuscitate her, so that she can be dead, quote unquote, for like 7 minutes before trying to resuscitate her. So then we get into that, and we get um some more eerie scenes, and then we start to find out like, holy shit, this is not real. And I love the little fight sequence that he has with herself, because it's the entity
Yeah.
being herself. And I loved the imagery that the entity gave with the eyeballs, and the hair and stuff. That is one of the creepiest images
Yeah.
that I've seen this year from a horror movie.
I said, man, it's like she's in a domain expansion, like just
Yeah.
the eyes behind the background. Oh,
Yeah, dude,
it's
like,
so
and I
cool.
was like, honestly, this kind of feels like an anime type of imagery that I was watching
Yeah.
from it. Like, I think that kind of fits. Like, if you were to real life animate like a horror scene from anime, and I was like, holy shit, that looks really good. Like, it was creepy imagery. But yeah, we find out that even this point where she tries to inject herself with the thing that stops her heart, we find out that none of this is even real
Yeah.
again. Like, none of this entire sequence is real, which is why I believe that everything after the hospital is all fake. At least where I think, at least where it could possibly take place.
Yeah, I think the hospital. I think even the hospital's fake. Well, no, no, maybe not. Just because the whole water dehydration of water is
Hmm.
something, but yeah, that whole syringe, and it just shows that whatever smile demon this is, it just loves trickery and just loves it because he played like a very good gotcha, like
Hmm.
you've never been in control, like mocking and teasing her, and it shows that. I wonder if like he, he is definitely an intelligent being because I think
Hmm.
at one point it was very hard to decipher what it was saying because it has such a like a very prominent demonic voice. Like it's like it's like very deep, so it's
Hmm.
very hard to catch. But I think at one point he does say that he's been wanting her for a long time, or wanting he's been planning this for a long time. And of course, like we see like his grandmaster plan at the very end, to where she realizes she's in, you know at the concert that she's been
Yeah.
trying to avoid the entire time. That's also something she's been trying to take control of, that she doesn't want to do the concert no more. and
Mm-hmm.
that's what she's doing. She sees her mom's alive, so that's when we learn that nothing,
Yeah, didn't
you
kill
know,
her mom.
and that's when she sees herself there, and like it just stretches out this giant, it which the monster doesn't look the same from the first movie, right?
I think it does.
Do you think
It's
it does?
definitely shown. It's definitely shown like in a different angle, but I think it's the exact same monster that they use.
Because I this one is like more red and skin.
Yeah, but I think
No, I
that's
think
mainly because of the lighting. Because if you
the
think about it,
light.
it's two completely different lighting settings. Like the
Okay.
first one is like very dark in a house with no lights and stuff, and then this one's like center stage of a concert. So I think that's the reason it looks different. But I think it's the exact same monster. May look a little bit bigger than the first one, but I think it's the exact same monster model that they use.
Yeah. The monsters, like every time they show, they look a little bit cheesy, but then they also like look generally horrifying.
And I think
Like
that's because it's practical effects, dude. I think that's why.
practical effects.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
all practical.
that wasn't CGI, right?
No, at least not most of it. I mean, for the most part, they actually have that monster as a prosthetic. Like it's a
Wow.
puppet, a big puppet.
Yeah, it was so grotesque, and I can understand why she'd just be so mesmerized and in shock and awe. And
Hmm.
like it's just like how anybody would just be like, oh, ah, like just like fucking screaming at this thing.
Yeah, she has like
And
that final girl scream towards that end there,
yeah,
dude. So that was pretty awesome.
yeah. And then at the very end, she's like convulsing on the ground, and everyone's just watching. Like, so is somebody gonna do something? Like,
Yeah, I
is
was
this
like,
part of the
no
show?
one's doing anything. Like, what the hell? But
And
eventually she gets back up, and does the smile thing exactly how we saw earlier in the movie, and she proceeds to end herself right there.
mhm,
And she does it with a microphone to the brain.
yeah, I was like,
And but
oh
I think
my god.
my favorite shot of that is that we don't see her doing it at all. We hear the sounds, we hear the mic going crazy, but all we see is the entire crowd's reaction. We see the
Oh my
entire we see
goodness.
her we see Naomi Scott's POV of it. We see everyone just screaming in horror, grotesque, and that's the shot we see until the very end. We see what she did with the mic.
And then what a terrific ending for this franchise, because this could go anywhere. This could like now supposedly everyone's now affected with this
Yeah.
curse.
It really
So
it really opens the door for a lot of opportunity here. And I hate that they did it towards the end, but I mean that's the only way they could probably end this movie and keep it better than the first at least. Because man, dude, it opens so many doors and I have no idea where they're gonna go with it. I have no idea. I'm excited for it. I hope they take their time and I hope that they you know, don't overplay their hand because I feel like they have to play it very, very carefully if they're gonna go with this route of like multiple people infected. I think they got to be very careful because they can easily um, lose a lot of the horror aspects to it. I think horror movies are generally more effective in a small scale. So I think with this huge scale that they got going on, it could definitely change the tone of the movie. But like I
it's gonna
said,
be like
I'm very much excited for to see where they go though.
I feel like this could be like an American Horror Story, like Smile, and it just takes on different viewpoints of everyone experiencing this. And each episode could be like an hour long and just end at a point where it transfers to another
You
person.
might be right there, dude. They might actually do some type of show out of this. It's very possible. Very possible they could do that.
I also like it's very hard to consider like with all these people. I just don't know how this will end. I feel like this will go into like almost like sort of like a riot in the city, you know?
Hmm.
Like society is kind of like falling down, maybe there's like a whole quarantine or something like that. And I just don't see how this will end without the city getting bombed. Like that's all I can think of. Like that's the only thing that I feel like that could happen is that the city gets bombed. That's all I feel like. That's the ending. You
I'm
know,
sure there's more that they can do, but we'll see too.
I wouldn't know how you could beat that.
I don't know either, man. I don't know either unless we get into a deep lore dive of how to stop it at its source.
I did say I want a male protagonist, but I don't think we can do a male protagonist. Just with the both previous protagonists being both female, and would you want it to end at number 3?
I don't know. I feel like if the story is good enough, I'm fine with it just being a trilogy. I think a lot of movies make mistakes in trying to continue to capture the audience in different ways, and it's very hard to keep the Annie up. It's hard to outdo yourself. It's hard to continue the energy. And I feel like the only franchise that had done that is probably the John Wick series. Every movie gets bigger, better, and they do something that really wows you. And I feel like that's going to be one of the hardest things to recapture. Like right now, Smile 2, excellent movie. Will Smile 3 be just as good? I have no idea. I have no clue. Like I said, and in the direction that they went towards the end of this, I have no clue where they're gonna go. They can either do a prequel for the next movie, they can either do events happening at the same time as this. Because if you remember, the guy kind of killed himself in front of multiple people, not just one person. So will we go that route, or are we just gonna pick up where we left off right here?
You
I have
said
no.
that, but I think he only killed himself in front of one person.
No, it was multiple. I don't know if you remember. It was the guy, the whoever the main boss was. He had like this white jacket. He killed himself.
Yeah,
He got killed in front of that guy too.
yeah. He was the only one that saw it because he was the one
No,
looking out the
that
window.
wasn't the guy that we saw kill himself in front of her.
You don't
That
think
was
it's
like
transferred?
a mob guy. This was just a buyer. This is a mob guy that was actually shooting at the cop.
Yeah, you don't think it transferred like between that?
That's what I don't know. It takes a week, so I don't know. That's what I mean. Like I don't know if we're gonna pick up from that point, which is a completely
Oh,
different storyline that's happening around the same time as this, or
mhm.
are we gonna pick up right here, or is just gonna be a completely unrelated story again? So I
Okay.
have
I
no
see what
idea. It can go anyway. It can go any which way.
you're saying. Yeah. I really wonder if they when making the first film after the first one, if they what if they predicted the success of the first film. Because I don't even know if like the second film was like even considered. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think they ever had a sequel planned for this movie.
Like, did you think?
Um,
Yeah. I wonder if this was like all set in stone, like for this to be as big as what they originally planned.
yeah, I think that happens with a lot of horror movies. A lot of horror movies, I think, don't necessarily don't go into it thinking that they're gonna be like a franchise, especially ones like this where they kind of it's more like of a risk and they kind
Yeah.
of made with low budget. I think this one had a bigger budget. No clue what it is, but I think this one definitely had a bigger budget. At least from what I can see, at least.
Had
But
all
I
the
think
dance cover and shit.
the studio has got to be wanting, foaming at the mouth for a third one because I think this one's doing very well in the box office.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for anything to do with this series. I really want to win. That I think out of all like monsters or whatever, I think I really hate this smile creature. Like
Yeah.
just the
And I
way
think
it walks.
it's gonna feel that much more earned when they finally defeat this thing. When
Mhm.
they finally defeat this thing, it's gonna feel that much more satisfying than like every movie we beat the bad guy. Every single movie we beat him. We find a way to beat the guy. The one weakness of the bad guy. Like once we finally beat this thing, it's gonna feel so satisfying.
I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. And I'm hoping that we see like when we do defeat it, it frowns. It frowns. I think that
That would be cool. Yeah, yeah. I think it's got to be used. It's got to be used. Got to be.
let it frown, and then that what's wrong? Smile or something. That's what the
Exactly.
protagonist
Yep.
said.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
It's got to have an epic line like that.
I don't know who they would cast. I think they've been casting some like some people that aren't familiar with Scream Queens, right?
No, not necessarily. I don't think Naomi Scott hasn't done anything horror, nor the actress that was the protagonist in the other movie either. I don't think they've done anything horror.
Mhm.
So I think finding an actress that's an actress or an actor that primarily didn't do horror, I think that's actually a strong thing and one of the things for this movie.
Yeah. I think Rosemary DeWitt, she was the one that played the mom. I think she was
Hmm.
in a few scary stuff, right? Or am I mistaken?
I
Because
have
I
no
know I see
clue.
her
I
everywhere.
I didn't remember her face very well.
I'm looking at her IMDb, and no, I think she was in Poltergeist, I think. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it looks like she was in a lot of like maybe action movies or comedies. So that's very interesting. I think that's why I recognize her because she plays in like a lot of she plays like the wife in a lot of like comedy movies.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah, but yeah, I'm truly excited. Do you have any final thoughts, John? I
No,
think we
man.
kind of
I think I've kind of gushed all I could about this movie.
yeah. Uh yeah. So finally, guys, you've seen us talked about Smile 2. Um, truly watched it. I think this is a perfect horror film from start to finish. It'll definitely make you think, and it definitely leaves you wanting more. I think it's such a perfect sequel to
Hmm.
already a great film, and I can't. I really want more. I really desire more of this franchise, and I truly can't wait for what they have thought of. And I'm ready to see like a smile apocalypse because I think that's what's gonna happen. It's probably gonna be like as crazy as like the Purge films are, like during the Purge. I think that's what's gonna happen with Smile, and I can't wait because
Oof.
initially the entity can't do anything except mess up your minds. So I just
Hmm.
see like there's just gonna be man on man crime, but they're just influenced by what's in their mind. So it's just gonna be man versus
Yeah.
man. Um,
Man, I would be very disappointed in that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think
like
this
what?
movie is at its strongest. Like this a smile apocalypse thing. There's no way. I don't. There's no way. I think that could work for me unless
See,
it's a
that's the thing.
unless it's a completely different tone. Like it's just gonna set a completely different tone for me. But I feel like their next route has to be, a deeper dive into the lore.
Because
And go ahead.
I think it'll still be scary, but I'm telling you, John, I think it's gonna go like the Belko experiment where people are just killing each other. You know,
Oh man, I hope not. I hope there's a little more depth to it. I feel like that's just, generic, bloodbath movie, but I feel like this movie has so much more capabilities, especially when it's going to be small scale. Um but like I said, I think the only other thing they can do is just go deep lore dive in a small in a smaller story base, and you kind of have this stuff happening in the background. Like I don't want this to be the vocal point. I think what you're saying could work, but if that's happening in the background of what's actually the movie, I
okay,
think that could work. So like if that's not the vocal point of the movie, I think it could work. But when they're trying to investigate how this thing happening, how to defeat this thing once and for all, how to like cut the snake off at its head, like how do you stop all these moving parts, and you have all these people doing these things to each other in the background, and but it's going to be on a wider scale of like how it's reported to the people. So you'll be seeing it like in news bits, like how the world is basically falling apart, but we have this one linear story that we're following. I think that could work. Now that you throw out that idea, I think that could work, but in the background, and that's something that we have to be aware of that's going on in the background that can kind of fill that void of like the more that's happening outside of the linear story that we have.
hmm. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see if it's gonna go into like just jumping around where it's more subtle,
Hmm.
but everyone's still experiencing it, or it's just going full on mayhem, like people are just running and screaming and like it's just full on panic mode, you know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm excited for it. Just go out and watch it, guys. If you guys seen it, Smile 2 rated 10 out of 10. It definitely deserves its Crunchy award. And you know what, your cabbage, John, because I don't think I was looking throughout it. I was like, I don't think I've given anything a 10 out of 10. I don't think I give
You give a
Godzilla
lot of 10 out of 10s, dude. You give a lot of 10 out of 10s.
I think I give a lot of 9s and 8s, but not 10s
Nah,
out of
10s. I
10s.
think you give a lot of 10s, dude.
I'll have to look because I don't think there's been another 10 on 10. Because I'm looking at all the reviews we've done. I don't think I've given everything a 10 out of 10.
I think you have, dude. I think you've
But
been giving out a lot of 10 out of 10s, dude.
there's no way. There's no way. But all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out our review. Make sure to let us know how you feel about Smile 2. And let us know about your thoughts on what Smile 3 would indicate. Like, what would you want to expect from it? Anyways, thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe. All in all, stay crunchy.